Hi, I'm Jane Holland and welcome to my creative forecast for the blood full moon in Sagittarius on the 26th of May 2021 and the surrounding time period. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more of these monthly horoscopes. This full moon is at 5 degrees 25 minutes of Sagittarius and is not only a full moon but another of these so-called supermoons. We're having a spate of them right now where the moon is closer than usual to the earth, and this makes their impact on our lives here in the sublunar or under the moon sphere that much more powerful. And later in this video, I'll be talking about how creative people in particular will experience this lunar influence. But not only is this a super full moon, but a blood moon, a total lunar eclipse. Now, a total lunar eclipse is when the moon is completely opposite the sun in the sky. And of course, the full moon is usually pure silver light. Full moon is when the landscape is bright enough, really, for you to walk about without a torch. If you live in the country, that is. It's less easy to experience this in urban areas because of light pollution. But then there's this total lunar eclipse on top with planet Earth situated between the sun and the moon. For early humans, it must have been really eerie, I think, even shocking and frightening. The refracted light bouncing off the moon within the Earth's shadow is in the red spectrum, and this is why a total lunar eclipse is sometimes known as a blood moon. Also happening at this time is a square between Jupiter and this Sun-Moon opposition. Now, Jupiter entered Pisces back on the 13th of May, giving us one of the most important planetary shifts in recent times, and it's going to be in the first 2 degrees of Pisces until July 28th, when it's going to retrograde back into airy Aquarius, where it was quite unhappy, giving us another taste of what we've already experienced so far this past year or so. Now, unfortunately, this return to Aquarius could mean a return to lockdown over the summer, or a partial return to restrictions for some of us at least. Now, the reason Jupiter is highlighted in particular at this full moon is that Jupiter is actually the ruler of Sagittarius, where this blood moon falls. So it's basically the presiding deity over the energies that are being loosed at the end of May. So what are those energies? Well, with Jupiter in charge, they're going to be big. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. It's a generous and rather jolly planet overall, associated with benevolence and good times, and it tends to expand and increase whatever it touches. Jupiter is also a powerful masculine planet. It's the ancient ruler of watery, dreamy Pisces, and so is considered deeply spiritual, even mystical at times. It rules gurus and religion and belief systems in general, and it can be inspirational. But when taken to extremes, it can also symbolize a cult, the kind of fantastical, extremist, out of touch with reality thinking that often ends in tragedy. Now, this full moon is only a few degrees away from a conjunction with the rather tricky south lunar node, and the two lunar nodes, north and south, form an axis across the chart, kind of moving backwards as a pair. And some consider them to be deeply karmic in nature, that they signal a time or an event where fate occurs or a destiny is realised, and others see them as moments of crisis or decision, where whatever way you swing is going to determine your future. And falling on this particularly powerful total lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, this nodal axis does seem to have been kind of charging up to this moment, to the end of May 2021, and perhaps it's going to discharge its current now. For creative people, chances are extremely high that this karmic blood moon is going to be a pivotal moment for many of you. creative, imaginative, spiritual Jupiter is in charge of this moment. And also it's squaring the Sun-Moon opposition, causing tension and perhaps creating a few obstacles in our lives, yes. But it's the kind of tension that forces us to take action. Jupiter, as I said, is a very masculine, boisterous energy. It's larger than life. It's not content with a small share of the goodies. It wants more. It wants everything. But more is not always better. So there may be a temptation to go overboard at the end of May and into early June, in fact, to grab more than our fair share or gamble away our resources on a huge risk. Jupiter loves risk-taking and maybe end up losing everything. So the eclipse often marks a time when something is ripped away from us or we're abruptly thrust into a challenging situation that upends our world. It may be a neutral situation where our actions alone dictate whether the end result is going to be good or bad. So if you've been kind of bobbing along recently, enjoying some lovely downtime, or just coasting along on fantasies, this eclipse could shock you into reality, and even the dreamiest among us are going to need to be ready with a well-structured Saturnian plan, a response bulging with ideas or marketing statistics if you need them, so you can counter any accusation of laziness or that you're in cloud cuckoo land. So what kind of creative talents could be amplified by this blood full moon? Well, I've already touched on Jupiter and the karmic nodal axis, but there's also a busy, talkative, art and beauty loving Mercury-Venus conjunction happening in Gemini, very strong for writers and actors actually, as Gemini rules writing and speaking, but also for those working in music, art in general, and the fashion industry, and also dance, ballet especially, as Mercury is about synchronicity and rhythm, and Venus indicates glamour and celebrity too, actually. This is the sign where the sun is during this eclipse, of course, so it's already highlighted, and more on that in a minute. But that buzzing Mercury-Venus conjunction is in a clashing square to Neptune, the creative blue planet of dreams and visions, and it's in its own sign of Pisces. So Pisces is very strong, very connected to this full moon, as are its two rulers, Jupiter and Neptune. And Pisces, being a water sign, is all about emotion and emotional resonance, and is deeply creative because it's anchored to the subconscious mind. It's the 12th sign of the zodiac. It's about sleep, and not just any sleep, but the oldest sleep, that is death, the old soul sleeping before we wake again in Aries, sort of back at the beginning of the circle, reincarnated, as some believe, for another spin of the wheel. Now, because of this, Pisces rules dreams and visions and psychic power, telepathy, spirituality, amazing insights, arcane or secret knowledge. And like Neptune, it's also fluid. It's the deep and fathomless ocean. It's the tides and the currents. It's about drift and flow. So we need to be open when Neptune or Pisces are active, open to messages from the universe, from our subconscious. Because that's what we use, isn't it? As creators, we need to access those voices, those messages, in order to create art. Now, at this time, we also have a bunch of planets in mutable signs. Signs are divided into three groups: a cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Now, the planets that are in mutable signs here are Mercury, Venus, the Moon, Jupiter, Neptune, even the nodes of the moon actually, and this repeated emphasis on mutability or movement echoes the Neptunian and Piscean influences at this blood moon. It's about staying flexible in your thinking, being open to the idea of change, not resisting it, but kind of letting go, going with the tide. And the full moon is par excellence the best time in any month to let go of creative projects, for instance, that are completed or past their sell-by date, so that you can clear the decks for all the new ideas that are to come. Sometimes too much mutability can suggest a kind of wavering indecision, a superficiality, if you like, of approach or understanding. Now, if you're prone to indecision as a creator, take care at this moon not to fall into the trap of holding on, gripping grimly onto a project that is really finished, so that you can tweak it or perfect it in some way. You need to move on at this full moon if that is your situation. But there is a powerful square in the sky at this moon between a steady Saturn in fixed Aquarius and inflexible Uranus in deep-rooted Earth in Taurus. So there is some stability up for grabs at this full moon. So this full moon favours any fluid or flowing creative medium. That's music, fashion, dance, film, television, photography, poetry, painting, especially seascapes. And with the Mercury, Venus in Gemini, square Neptune, writers, actors, especially perhaps voiceover actors, are in a good place right now to see some movement in their career options after a time of feeling stuck or uninspired perhaps. But you will have to take action in order to get things moving. With an eclipse in the mix, this Jupiter good fortune is unlikely to just fall in your lap. So have a wonderful and truly creative month. Remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you again next time.